Listen up. In the past year, I made over 6 figures betting on sports using a strategy that flips the sportsbook's edge back in your favor. And in today's video, I'm not just going to explain that strategy, I'm going to show you exactly what to do step by step if I had to start over from scratch. No bankroll, no experience, nothing. But here's the catch. If you come into this blind, like most people do, you'll lose money fast. In fact, over 97% of sports bettors lose long term. Not because they're dumb, but because they play the game the wrong way. The good news is, I've helped hundreds of people make money in this game. Some are even making thousands per month using the same strategy I'm about to show you. By the end of this video, you're gonna understand the blueprint to betting profitably, even if you've never placed a single bet before. We're going to cover why most bettors lose long term, the real mechanics behind plus EV betting, how to manage your bankroll like a business, how to track your performance like a portfolio, and how to actually find value in this market without guessing. And by the way, if you want to shortcut this whole process, I run a private community and mentorship program where I walk you through every step in real time. If you're serious about learning this the right way, I'll leave the links below. Let's get into it. All right, before we talk about winning, let's talk about why most of you guys lose. Because if you don't understand this part, nothing else matters. Sportsbooks are some of the most profitable businesses in the world, and that's not by accident. They've built systems designed to take your money, regardless of who wins the game. They don't need to predict outcomes. These books profit from the way people bet, not what they're betting on. Like I mentioned earlier, 97% of bettors throw away their money. They're betting on trends, following TikTok or Twitter gurus, betting emotionally, and most commonly using their ball knowledge. Please listen when I tell you guys this. You are not going to beat these billion-dollar companies with your ball knowledge. I don't care how due you think our glorious king is. I do want to mention, if these gurus aren't showing you their daily results, please click that unfollow button immediately. Those guys are frauds. As for sportsbooks, every line you see is calculated using advanced pricing models, machine learning algorithms built by PhD nerds who monitor the betting markets 24/7. Not only that, they adjust lines in real time based on action, injury news, public money, honestly everything imaginable. So by the time you guys place your bet, by the time you think you got a lock, they've already accounted for it. But here's what most of y'all don't realize. Even before you place a bet, the odds are already stacked against you. I know this might be a bit confusing. That's because sportsbooks don't offer you fair odds. They tack on something called VIG or juice. Pretty much just a hidden tax that the sportsbooks take from you when you place a bet. This is what guarantees the sportsbooks profit over time. Let me make this simple. A coin toss. If you're betting minus 110 on both sides, you're not flipping a 50-50 coin. You're flipping a rigged coin that charges you for every toss. Let's say Luke takes the Pistons at plus 5.5 at minus 110 and bets $110 to win 100. John, on the other hand, takes the Knicks at minus 5.5 at minus 110 and also bets $110 to win $100 profit. In this scenario, the sportsbook has perfectly balanced the action. No matter who wins, they'll pay out $100 but collect $220. That's a guaranteed $10 profit, just for setting the line. The key concept here is, guys, the sportsbook's goal isn't to predict the winner, it's to manage risk and profit through pricing. So yeah, the books are locking in profit before the game even starts. Crazy, I know. But here's what most bettors overlook. The same juice that guarantees them money quietly shifts the odds against you, which means you have to win more than you think just to break even. So check this out. At minus 110 odds, you have to win over 52% of the time just to break even. If you're tailing gurus who post minus 350 locks and flex a 70% win rate, just know this, at those odds, you need to win 77.78% of the time just to break even. Don't fall for the illusion of a high win rate. It's not the same as profit. The house doesn't care who wins the game. They just care that you keep betting without understanding how the numbers work. All right, so you're probably wondering, how do you go from donating to the books to taking money from them? It starts with understanding the core concept that separates winners from the 99%. Plus EV betting. This is where we shift from guessing to understanding the math behind long-term profit. Because contrary to what most people think, winning in sports betting isn't about being right more often. It's about price, not predictions. And that's exactly where plus EV betting comes in. Plus EV stands for positive expected value, and it's the fundamental concept behind my winning strategy. I know you guys see this formula and freak out. Listen, in simple terms, it means you're placing bets that have a statistical advantage over time, where the probability of winning is higher than what the odds actually imply. You might lose some in the short run, in fact, you will, but when you consistently identify bets where the odds are in your favor, your edge compounds over time. Let me break it down in an example. Say you come across a player prop at 5.5 rebounds. His under is minus 115. You compare it across the market and notice the other books have the under price between -135 all the way to -170. That's just not a better price, it's a signal. It tells you that one sportsbook is off market and the line is likely mispriced. And that 30 to 40 cent gap, that's where the value lives. You're not just betting that the player grabs less than 6 rebounds. You're betting that the line you're getting is more favorable than the true probability of an outcome. Now here's something most casual bettors overlook. Odds aren't just numbers. They represent implied probabilities of the likelihood of that outcome occurring. In this example, Hard Rock's line at -115 implies the bet has about a 53.49% chance to cash. And let's say at FanDuel's line at -167, which implies closer to 62.55%. So if the market says there's a 62% chance of something hitting, but one sportsbook is offering it at a price that implies only 53%, that means you found a plus EV bet, because you're getting better odds than the true probability deserves. And betting at better odds literally means you're risking less for the same reward or getting a higher payout for the same risk. Over time, those mispricings turn into profit. You're not predicting outcomes, you're identifying where the numbers are off and taking advantage of the market itself. Hopefully, you understand the basics of plus EV now. But honestly, none of it matters if you don't manage your bankroll effectively. For some reason, I see beginners ignore this over and over again. It's exactly why they lose, even with an edge. Sometimes they bet too much, other times not enough, then chase losses after a bad night. And just like that, their bankroll's gone. All before they even gave their edge a real chance to play out. If you take one thing from this section, it's that your edge means nothing if you can't survive the swings. Last December, I was able to make $82,000 in profit. But if you take a closer look at this image, there are insane ups and downs. To be successful here, you have to be mentally prepared for variance. And if you're unfamiliar, variance is simply the natural fluctuations in betting outcomes due to chance. So how should you manage your bankroll? I use a risk model based on the Kelly criterion, which essentially helps size each bet according to the expected value. Different models calculate EV differently, so I can't give you a perfect number for your setup. But I will say this, if you don't have a system to quantify your edge, stick to around 0.5 to 1% of your bankroll per bet. It's conservative, it's safe, and most importantly, it keeps you in the game long enough for the math to actually work. Here's a quick example of good bankroll management versus terrible bankroll management. Say you're working with a $1,000 bankroll here. One unit is 1% of your bankroll, which is $10. If you go on a 10-bet losing streak, which will happen eventually, you're only down 10% of your bankroll. You survive, you reload, you keep going. But if you're betting $100 a game, that same losing streak wipes out your entire account. Here's the mindset shift. Your bankroll is business capital. Every bet is an investment, and your number one job is to protect that capital so your edge has time to compound. This is what most people don't understand. It's not about being right more often, it's about risk-adjusted growth. That's how I win. And if you want to actually make money betting long term, this is where that starts. One of the biggest mistakes I see from newer bettors, even ones who are starting to understand plus EV, is not tracking their bets. They look at wins and losses, maybe ROI, but they're missing the most important data point of all, closing line value. CLV is the difference between the odds that you bet at and the odds the line closed at just before the game started. It's not a magic number, but it is one of the best indicators of whether you're beating the market consistently. Closing lines are shaped by huge amounts of sharp and public money. They reflect the most accurate estimate of an outcome's true price at game time. All right, let's say you bet a player over at -105. By the time the game starts, that line has moved to -125. You didn't just guess well, you beat the market. That's real data telling you you had the better side. And if you do that consistently, your results will eventually follow. On the flip side, it's a huge red flag if your bets are constantly closing worse than when you lock them in. You'll probably lose over a large sample. Now, you could track all this manually with a spreadsheet, timestamps, closing lines, whatever. But honestly, it's a grind. And if you're betting constantly, you need something that makes this frictionless. That's why I recommend using Picket. And no, they don't pay me. I have zero partnerships with this company. I just really like their tools. It's a mobile app and you can track everything including CLV all in one dashboard. It's not about making you feel good. It's about giving you a clear picture of how you're actually performing so you can improve faster and stay accountable with yourself. So here's the deal. You don't need to track every little stat to get started, but if you care about doing this right, track your closing lines, track your performance, and treat your bets like a portfolio. That's what I do. That's what my members do, and it's a big reason why this works long term. Okay, so if you're still watching this far in, you're already ahead of 90% of bettors. Most people never take the time to actually learn this stuff, but you did. And that tells me you're serious about winning. So now I'm sure you're wondering, all right, Jackson, how exactly do I calculate these edges and actually find EV? The answer is there are sportsbook screeners and EV tools out there that will do this for you. They scan multiple books, flag line discrepancies, and spit out plays with value. Some of them are okay, you can profit using them, but here's the truth. They're built for mass market users, not for people who are trying to scale this into serious sustainable income. So what they will do is pump out way more bets than you should actually be taking just to make the software feel active. The math behind them is decent, but not good, and it's optimized to keep casual bettors engaged, not to protect your ROI in your accounts. Here's the bigger issue. When thousands of people are hammering the same plays from the same public tool, you're not just getting mediocre value, you're getting flagged. Your accounts will get limited faster because the books know exactly where those bets are coming from, and they will adjust. This is why we built our system. This is the software I use to make a boatload of money. It tracks real-time price discrepancies, flags value based on refined probability models, and filters out low-quality plays that most tools would still include. Essentially, I'm finding better edges that bring in more profit while also avoiding the traffic that comes with using those public tools. As you can see, you could choose your bookmaker, the sport, the market type. You can choose how many data points you want. As you can see, we have a bunch of over EV on Anthony Edwards. You click here, you can see the comparison with the odds. And if you're wondering, yes, my community gets all of their bets from this software, and this is included in the mentorship program. And before we wrap this up, let me tell you really quick about something most beginners don't even realize is a thing: limits. If you're consistently finding an edge, beating the closing line, and winning, sportsbooks notice, and eventually they will limit you. Sometimes quietly and sometimes overnight. And when I say limit you, I mean literally restrict the amount of money you could place on a bet. I've been through it over and over again. Limits, restrictions, bans, but I've found ways to adapt, ways to keep getting down and keep the edge alive. It's not just about what to bet, it's about how to do this long term without getting shut out. I'll show you how I structure things, how I manage exposure, and how to stay under the radar while still scaling. We'll get into all of that. All right, we covered a lot. You now understand why people lose. You understand the math behind EV. You know how to manage your bankroll, track your performance, and actually find value in the market. These are the exact principles and same process I teach to my members every single day in my mentorship and community. The difference, I built it the hard way. Over years of tracking, testing, adjusting, and getting limited over and over again. You don't have to go through this. In this mentorship, I'll walk you through everything I've shown today, but in real time with direct feedback, personalized guidance, and direct access to my private software that I use every day to bet. If you're not quite ready for this mentorship just yet, that's no problem. The Discord's open, it's just $60 a month. You'll start seeing the plays, the breakdowns, and the exact EV approach I showed you today. But if you're serious about skipping the trial and error, and you want the full system, the tools, the strategy, the support, apply for the mentorship. That's where the real compounding starts. Either way, whether you join or not, I hope this video helped you rethink the way that you bet. And I hope it gave you the clarity to stop guessing and start betting with a real edge. The links are below. See you inside.